I'm sure most of you in this room today must have gazed at the sky during a clear, starry night and wondered what it must be like in the vast outer space, immediately followed by a feeling of existential crisis, realizing how small a part you are of this gigantic universe. If you've had this feeling, thanks for sharing my daily crisis. It feels amazing to have found fraternity in this room today, and I already feel welcomed. I'm a space lawyer who loves cosmology, and interlinking the two concepts, I'm academically pursuing an intuitive idea. The idea is overwhelming, yet very basic, rather innate. Something which should come to our conscience in a very similar form of how we experience gravity, something in a very intuitive and natural form. My talk today elaborates on human activities in outer space. What have we achieved and where are we headed? In the next few minutes, I'm going to make you travel through time, from past to present to future, but not necessarily in the same order. So let me start with what's what in outer space. We have come a long way from orbiting the first ever man-made satellite, Sputnik, in 1957, and since then we have built a society so dependent on space technology that it is almost impossible to imagine a day without satellite. Today, while I'm limited by time to detail all the fronts where space technology is touching our lives, but in a snapshot, besides military and strategic advantages, of course, space is helping you communicate with ease. Space is helping you travel in cities like Bangalore, and not only cities like Bangalore, but throughout the globe with the help of satellite-navigated civil aviation. It also alarms you of global warming and helps you fight environmental changes by providing you data which is monitoring deforestation, desertification, and watershed management. And the list goes on. All well said and done, what is next? I always tell my colleagues it's an exciting time to be alive, and our generation and the next would possibly witness space resource mining, colonization of celestial bodies, space tourism. They might even possibly use an elevator to climb up to a floating space station without having to launch oneself in a space rocket feeling 3 Gs of force, which, trust me, makes you want to puke your gut out. So, okay, space is amazing, technology is great, and human beings are awesome at solving all complex problems of the world. And they lived happily ever after. Well, much like love, it's not that simple. Let us not deconstruct. Allow me to exercise your imaginative mind and bring the fiction writer inside you to think. Let us visit our near future. The date is 30th January 2450, 25th century, I mean. Because life on Earth became unsustainable by the end of 23rd century, and space technology advanced, so now human beings have habitation beyond planet Earth. And they're, as usual, busy scavenging resources from all the planets, including the Earth. Multiplanetary transportation has become a usual activity, and kids born in this era, I mean 25th century, aren't even afraid of going out of the orbit, much like how flying in an airplane has become a mundane activity for our generation. So what is wrong with multiplanetary civilization hogging all available resources? Let us come back to the present for a moment. There are laws. And when I say law, it's not only the law promulgated by the legal authority, but laws of universe, nature, and cosmos, if you say. But I will start with the law of legal order. This is particularly where my legal knowledge kicks in. Let me tell you, there actually is something called international space law, mainly comprising of 5 international treaties, which is signed in between nations, and they are binding legal obligations in between the nations who have signed them. Enough with fiction. The reality is, many of these space activities are very practical and scientific reality, particularly space mining and grabbing an asteroid from the space. Good chances are that the US would benefit from space resource mining or space resources within the next 2 decades, and it is indeed fascinating, and I understand your fascination with the grabbing of asteroid or the mining resources, but honestly, it is a legal complexity which the world is facing today. In the first place, let us ask, who does the outer space belong to? What enables the US, Europe, China, India to claim resources in outer space? Does it really belong to anybody? The foundational law regarding outer space, the Outer Space Treaty, prescribes that the exploration and use, and listen to me very carefully, the exploration and use of outer space is the province of all mankind. So let me run a thought experiment here. Let's have some fun. Let us imagine this room to be outer space. I am the US, and you are all different nations. You're UK, you're India, you're China, and even my professor's favorite country, Botswana, is sitting somewhere in the audience. So what does the law say? The law says the exploration and use of this room is the right conferred upon all of us collectively. So my use of this moon, this mic, your use of the asteroid and Mars that you're sitting on, your chairs, and the technician's perfect angle to find the perfect angle for the spotlight or satellite is the right bestowed upon all of us, and only that, in a sense, is our right, the right to explore and use. So does this provision from the Outer Space Treaty or the foundational law, in your opinion, make the outer space, the physical space of this room, a province of all mankind which is to be owned by all of us collectively? Or is it only the use of this mic, chairs, and spotlight, common heritage of mankind? Because there is a big difference between what is a right of ownership and a right of collective use. In simpler terms, does the space or the outer space belong to anybody or nobody? A visionary and one of the greatest scholars once said, Judge Manfred Lack said, that is the outer space in itself, with all its vacuum and celestial bodies, a thing which can be owned by all of us, even collectively. Furthermore, there's one more provision in the Outer Space Treaty which says that the appropriation of celestial bodies is prohibited, which basically means that I, being the US, cannot claim any part of the moon or the moon as a whole as a territory of the United States of America. Well, I echo a voice of numerous most qualified scholars that the outer space belongs to nobody. There's always a popular consensus, far from the intended interpretation, and however wrong, which is that the outer space belongs to everybody as much to the India as to the US. In between this subtle friction and relying on the populistic and rather ill-intended interpretation, the US enacted a law enabling private companies to mine space resources, claim ownership, commercially benefit from it. If you truly understood what I said in the last few minutes, and I really hope you did, you should be disturbed by a question: how can somebody have commercially protected right or something which is decided not to be owned by anybody? But never mind, this by all means is going to happen either by bending laws or framing of new laws which conform to the capitalist, resource-mongering, and unsustainable practice of the society. And I only discussed all of it to prepare you for what I'm going to say next. And it refers certainly more to the laws of the nature or the universe. Allow me once again to exercise your imaginative mind and let us now think even bigger. I'll start by posing a simple question. In your opinion, in all of your opinion, is the universe in cosmos or chaos? By cosmos, I mean it has some form of harmony, order, and a mechanism in place to bring in itself a stability. Or in your opinion, universe is chaotic, exploding and dying stars, twirling galaxies, pulling massive planets inside them, and all up there in the dark space is random and wild, and if I may use, quite horrifying, to be honest. Well, there are different scientific and philosophical theories on this debate or about the concept of cosmos or chaos, but I tend to firmly believe that there exists a form of cosmic order. No matter how chaotic things are, maybe the origins were chaotic as well, but the cosmic system is continuously striving to achieve a stability. The grand cosmos is bringing in itself a stability, a cosmic balance. In fact, if we look at the histories of cosmology, it is very interesting to note, like histories of cosmology at different point in time, at different places in the world, all assumed some form of cosmic order. In fact, if we look at our very own Hindu cosmology, one of the most accurate cosmological theory according to the modern day science prescribes or assumes a natural order, termed as Rith. Even in the Chinese philosophy, the ancient Greek philosophy, the philosophies propounded by Pythagoras, Aristotle, and even almost scientific Newton assumed a natural order. So I'm sure you want to ask me, what is really cosmic balance? Well, it is, for me personally, it is not that difficult to understand or that far. Let us zoom in a bit in the cosmic universe and let us look at our own planet Earth. What is it doing? It is producing gases, recycling them, and even losing it to outer space, maintaining a habitable environment. It's maintaining a thermal profile and precise temperatures as required, and cooling down accurately to sustain the life which this Earth has. It is maintaining the percentage of water, and so on and so forth. So what we really conclude from this? The conclusion is the Earth in itself is a self-regulating natural system with a natural order and a form of harmony. Interestingly, while I was researching this concept, I stumbled upon an interesting concept propounded by a brilliant NASA scientist called Dr. James Lovelock. It is the Gaia Hypothesis. The Gaia Hypothesis basically prescribes that the Earth itself is a huge system, a living organism continuously interacting with non-living surroundings, self-regulating the complex processes to maintain a habitable environment. And the human-induced climate change is exactly disrupting this the eco-balance or eco-harmony. So what if, like this cosmic balance, like the eco-balance on Earth, there really is a cosmic balance? What is to be done? What's to be done is we dare not disrupt this cosmic balance. Instead, we need to preserve it. We need to maintain the cosmic balance. If there exists a cosmic balance and the universe is a natural system with harmony and order, we better preserve it. What needs to change, and this is my central argument, what needs to change is the egocentric view of us human beings. And let me tell you, we're ridiculous parasites sucking all the available resources with all the unsustainable practices, and now we are planning the same in outer space. The ego that we are a supreme intelligent species and we are in ultimate control has in many ways doomed us already, and it might doom us in space as well. But I'm sure you won't want me to ask if we as human species or as race have gained the capability of disrupting the cosmic balance or cosmic harmony. Pessimist as much I may sound, the answer to this question is yes. This time, allow me to be a fiction narrator, and my genre is cosmic fiction horror. Today, the date is 15th May, 2556. Human beings mine the moon to an extent that the gravitational pull between the Earth and the moon has gotten disrupted. The effect of gravitational pull between the moon and the Earth has a significant consequential effect on the tidal pulls and the oceans and the ecological balance on Earth. So now the Earth looks quite different than what it used to look. Furthermore, we conducted such activities in the electromagnetic shielding around the Earth, which protects us from solar storms and solar radiation. We disrupted that balance. And now Earth is unable to hold the oxygen molecules in the atmosphere, and as a result, we lost all the water that was on the Earth, and oceans have disrupted. Oceans have vanished. And this is the exact reason why Venus has no oceans. How does it sound? Quite horror, right? It is almost like horror. Are we as human race ready to face consequences of disrupting the cosmic balance or cosmic environment? Environment not in a sense how we understand on Earth today, but environment in a sense that it disrupts very fundamental laws of the nature of physics, like the gravity or electromagnetic shielding, basically. Now, this technically is a fiction, and it is not entirely a concluded science, but it is in fact interesting to note that when the Industrial Revolution started, nobody ever believed that industrial effluence could have a local impact, environmental impact, let alone a global impact. And that fiction is now a reality. And this was really a fiction if you see the novels in early 1920s or 1970s. This was really a fiction. And this fiction is technically now a dreadful reality, as I already talked about. But it is not the form that I'm talking about. It is the thought that I'm reflecting on. And let me tell you, human beings have already been quite disruptive in the outer space. And in a snapshot, I'll describe what outright crazy actions we have taken in outer space or are planning to take. I will start by what happened in the early space age during the duration of 1958 and 1962, when the US and Soviet Union detonated close to 21 nuclear bombs in outer space, and particularly a project called Starfish Prime. I don't know what they were doing, they were crazy guys. This bomb was 100 times more powerful than the Hiroshima-Nagasaki explosion, and it was almost equivalent to 1.4 million tons of TNT. And the effects, there was thousands of kilometers of Earth experienced the phenomenon of sighting auroras, and various sound and so many towns, the power grid of the various towns was taken down. Imagine if they could do this in 1960s, what are the capabilities now, and what could be the consequences? Then second are the proposals of terraforming. This is basically a lobbied idea by the private companies who want to terraform the Mars or convert Mars to a habitable environment like Earth. And that process involves having a nuclear explosion on the Mars to melt its ice caps, basically. Then the third, one of the more scary part, is contamination threat. It's not only about the outer space, it's also about the Earth. While we are conducting space research, we're bringing back contaminants, and we're also bringing the contaminants of Earth to the outer space. And that could have significant consequential effect. What could be that? There are studies which show that microbes that could get introduced to Earth environment could cover the whole planet within days, and that could have severe environmental impact. And due to man-made debris, there's a growing concern with the orbital sustainability, and we won't be able to float satellites as well. And this is just the beginning of our modern-day exploration or exploitation of space. My idea is to leave you with this. Let us change our egoistic, human-centric perspective and understand we are only a part of this giant universe. We need to change the perspective, and we need to understand that we cannot continue to perceive the nature as outside of us. We are within it. It's a symbiotic relationship. And we share this relationship with the nature of the cosmos, and this idea needs to be instilled. We need to firmly believe that the outer space, much like the Earth, is a self-regulated mechanism which has a natural harmony and order, and we need to preserve it. Because if we don't, and if we disrupt the cosmic balance, there would be no blame to put on each other as nations, but it would be a collective responsibility of entire human race, and so will be the consequences. And mind you, we won't be ready for that. And that is the idea worth spreading. Thank you.